Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Dr. Raja Nor Safinaz Raja Harun.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good afternoon. Today, I've been given a topic which is very dear to me, which is the art of articulation, because it reminded me of the early years of my teaching. This was actually one of the courses that I used to teach. Now, how do we define articulation? The word art there is the art of speaking itself. And when we talk about speaking, is actually one of the definitions would be the formation of sounds. How do we actually produce sounds? Ladies and gentlemen, for any normal human being without any speaking deficiencies at all, God has made it in such a way that we all have vocal organs. And with these vocal organs, we are actually we are able to produce sounds. And the one that I'm showing you is actually the places of articulation and how we actually produce the p, the b, the k or g sound and any other sounds. And I'm sure for those who are actually very familiar or who have gone through courses on phonetics and phonology, then you would have the experience of trying to produce these sounds. And let's try this because this is actually in the afternoon, okay? And I have chosen this tongue twisters in which I am not very familiar with. Okay, let us try and pronounce the tongue twisters slowly but surely. Let's do this together. 1, 2, 3. If two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which watch? Now, the challenge is now for us to produce these tongue twisters at a faster rate. Okay, get ready. Ladies and gentlemen, 1, 2, 3. If two witches would watch two watches, which witch would watch which watch? Okay. It's slightly challenging and it's a bit more difficult. Okay, for the first one just now, we are able to discern the meaning. Yeah, because it's quite clear when we pronounce those words. But at a faster rate, it's quite difficult for us to discern the meaning. We end up saying which, or we end up saying watch, right? So this gets us to the second definition, which is the second definition of articulation, which is how we actually express our ideas. And this can be quite challenging as well, because ideas can be expressed in many, many forms. And let us reflect on ourselves and think, which type of speakers are we? Are we the incoherent speaker, the one who rambles a lot and make no meaning at the end of our lecture or maybe at the end of our speech? Or are we the coherent or the articulate one? If we are the coherent or we are the articulate one, it is actually not so bad. Why? Because when people actually listen to us, they are able to make meaning of what we said. The difference is when we are the coherent speaker, our speech is not actually that memorable to the people who's actually listening to us. And if we are the articulator, then of course that's something that we really need to work at, is how to choose words that can be very persuasive when our audience are listening to us. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if we are the incoherent speaker, we have to work really, really hard in order to improve ourselves, especially if we are the educators, because it's going to be problematic at the end of our lecture if our students cannot make sense what we are actually saying. Now, what we all should desire is to become the eloquent speaker. Why? Because with the eloquent speaker, the choice of words, the body language, and everything can actually win the hearts and minds of our listeners. And basically, ladies and gentlemen, if we were to become this eloquent speaker in our class, I can bet you our students are actually very much addicted to come to our lectures. The key word to become an eloquent speaker, I would like to borrow what Prof. Karim always said. You know, he has this word mesmerizing. Okay, so if you can mesmerize people, ladies and gentlemen, then you are actually an eloquent speaker. However, speaking is not easy. The minute you come to the front, there is this fear of being judged by other people. You have all sorts of anxiety. If you look at the first picture, okay, that is actually basically quite common in the first few minutes standing in front here, okay? And the challenge for us all is how do we change this nerve-wracking situation into something which is thrilling and full of excitement, just like being on a roller coaster? How do we actually change the debilitating anxiety that is anxiety which can be very harmful to us and change it into a facilitative kind of anxiety that would actually help us to give focus to what is it that we want to say, especially in terms of presenting our ideas. Believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, the brain in the and the speech is actually very much connected. I'm not a neuroscientist, okay, nor a medical doctor. However, we know when we learn about language acquisition and whatnot, we know there are parts of the brain which actually is connected to how we process the language. And we have to send the correct signal to our brain. If we say this is actually a very threatening platform, then it will create a lot of anxiety. But if we say this is a platform in which it can, a sharing of experience and whatnot, and it's the time for you to actually sell yourself, okay, then it will change it into something which is more exciting. Now, the question is there such a thing as a natural born speaker? If we were to look at multiple intelligences, I think we have seen it throughout since this morning. We know that some people are very much verbal, some people are very auditory, and people like Isas, of course, is very much into music. But one thing for sure, multiple intelligences, of course, you have the inclination towards certain things, but they are actually not an innate capacity. What I'm trying to say here, if you are not good, you feel that you are not into verbal, you're more into visual. These are the things that you can actually learn. It is not fixed. Yeah, this is something that you can learn and you can improve. We have to create awareness, ladies and gentlemen, by understanding at least these three elements or three concepts: the cognition, the metacognition, and the meta-talk. Cognition is basically how you process your thinking. And of course, I can see, it's not visible to other people how your thinking process. However, you can make your thinking process visible through the process of metacognition, in the sense that you should be able to talk about your thinking. And there is also another element which we call meta-talk. Meta-talk is something is talking about how you produce language. And this metacognition and meta-talk can be verbalized in the sense that it can reach so many people and people can actually know how you think and how you use language. And this should be encouraged among educators as well as students because this will actually lead to a very high engagement. Now, One of my area is classroom discourse. And when we talk about classroom discourse, speaking is very much contextualized, is very much purposeful. So the way we speak in our class also matters. If we are a sage on the stage, there is very little interaction that we have with our students. However, if you are a guide on the side, a meddler in the middle, that is the time that we actually have a lot more interaction. We probe our students' thinking, we do a lot of questioning, we do a lot of scaffolding, because that would actually help them to do metacognition and meta-talk as well. So it will actually lead to a highly engaged classroom situations. And actually, this is something that most educators need to work at, because we always take for granted that communication is just a vehicle for us. But communication, particularly in the classroom, is purposeful. We say certain things because there is a need to say those things. We know where we are actually getting our students towards. And with meddler in the middle, we hear so much about HOTS and whatnot, yeah. But you need to have a skill. If you're an educator, you need to have a skill in order to become a meddler in the middle, because that will be the time that you will encourage or you will get your students to do a lot of critical thinking. And all this is true your is is true your articulation. Ladies and gentlemen, the good thing is, okay, like I said, whatever ways that we are comfortable in communicating our ideas, in expressing ourselves, there's always a continuum and moving from what we are now into becoming someone who's actually better. And the best thing of all, okay, these skills or they come with strategies. So it can actually be taught, it can be practiced, and it can also be mastered. Being cognizant or being aware on how you actually talk and how you express ideas can enhance the quality of your speech. It can also enhance the quality of teaching and learning. And ladies and gentlemen, be yourself. You don't have to be anybody else in the world. Be yourself and learn to express yourself and have faith in yourself. With that, I thank you.